start with the end in mind. When you're clarifying your goals and your dreams and your desires, be specific to the point of exactly what you want, because there's power in the word no. And that's it. No means you get to say more yeses. You can say yes to the family, yes to the friends, yes to the finances, yes to the fitness, by saying no and declining invitations to certain events or certain points of distraction. Your life will become much clearer. You have a lot more fun, and you get to be in the driver's seat, not letting life drive you wherever it wants to take you.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for joining another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, Contrarians, I want to talk to you about the real reason behind the game of acquiring assets. So for most of us, we're in a space where we're working a 9 to 5. We're doing something of nature in order to get an exchange of currency. Like there's certain kind of value exchange that we're doing in life. And there's a big difference I've noticed when I'm around wealthy individuals versus those that are not. And for those that are new listeners, welcome. But when I think of wealth, I think of something as rich normally screams at you. Wealth whispers. I've sat across from people that look like just regular old people doing things. I was out in the mountains of Tennessee this week, but their family is like has just massive amounts of wealth, but it didn't really change who they were. And what you realize when you're around those people and the way they move is just so different than anything else, because they've already broken through the Maslow's hierarchy of needs of like they're at self-actualization. So because they've already moved to that phase, it's more about time than anything else. Where they want to spend their time is based on and drives their quality of life. Unless they're a prisoner of their own success. Some people are just prisoner of their own success and they just need to work and they have to do that thing and they can't actually stop and slow down and spend it. I don't care how a person spends their time. That's their choice. I don't write their chapters in the book of life. It's really up to them. But the thing I want you to know is that time is actually the reason that drives all of the equation. Accumulation is meant because in different phases and different places in life, you may need to use those resources. Think of it this way. Like back in the day, we used to be hunters and gatherers. And if we knew that winter was coming, what would we do? We would stock up. We would go ahead and we would hold on to meat. We would our grains, our nuts, our seeds, all those things we would store in bulk because we knew at some moment or time winter was coming. And once winter came, you had to make sure you had enough sustenance so that you and your family and those that are around you were good in your tribe. So that was the basis of it. Knowing that we are a tribe-based community, like that's just how we're wired as humans, there are certain things you need to have when it's time for the harvest. You need to prepare. You need to build those moments. And the reason why you're listening to this podcast is that simply, I am here to save you the most precious, valuable resource in the world, which is your time. That's the gift. And that's the reason why I even started this in the first place was I wanted to share the things that I'm learning on my journey, not as a place of like, I'm telling you what to do, but just giving you an alternative perspective. So as we look at that, and we look at what happens, you gain assets to weather those different storms as they come across. Now, the real thing that starts happening after a certain moment is you start building momentum. As you build momentum, your blueprint of the acquisition of assets can afford you the opportunity to have more time. So I think for one of my friends, he went during, like he was running a business, right? He was running a business and COVID, boom, stopped it, shut him down. Something like 70 plus days, shut down. Membership tanked. Responsibility, like his responsibility and like what his monthly expenses didn't change, but his revenue source dried up. So in that moment, he had to make a choice. He had to make a choice of like, do I just lay down and die, or to have to create an alternative strategy that affords me the opportunity that if this situation were ever to arise again, I don't feel the brunt of its impact. So what did he do? He went out and he started acquiring real estate. The thing that I like about real estate is that it's traditionally an asset that doesn't go to zero. So the land, the dirt, the building even burnt down has some type of value to it. So while it can be like an asset that doesn't grow in value and may lose value, it's still worth something. Like unlike like materials of cars, the cars are worth something, but it's never anywhere near the proximity of what it was worth when you bought it and it kept appreciating. So he went out and he acquired assets. And then different things in life happen. Because here's the reality. Let's be real, y'all. There's pre-COVID years and there's post-COVID years. Here we are in 2025. So in 2025, we're at a space where we go, okay, the reality is that, guys, it's April 2025. The world paused 5 years ago. That's half a decade, y'all, if you count with your toes. So that was a good period of time. 2015, that felt like yesterday. That was 10 years ago. So what happens? But then when you sit back person today that you were in 2015, if you are, man, what the hell have you been doing? Life changes. It evolves. You have different desires. You have different wants, depending on what phase of life you're in. So as the different phases keep growing, so should you. And so what happened was 5 years, he started for that process in the business that he was in. 5 years later, he's no longer in that business. He's in a different business. But guess what those assets were able to do? It was able to unlock his freedom. He got to a place where he thought all I ever was going to be is in this particular business. But it changed. The flexibility to change and pivot and move is truly the gift of life. Because now he's at a place where he has enough assets, and he can draw down on the value of the assets to cover lifestyle. But that is the same damn point. No different than when the winter was coming. And so you can draw down on those assets because you have flexibility. You no longer have to prostitute yourself doing something you can't stand so that you can have the possibility of doing something you love. It changes you. Here's a fact for you guys. I work the same amount of hours I did a year ago. Same amount of calls, same amount of travel. Like nothing changed. It wasn't a fantasy for me. It wasn't just going and being like, all right, just sit around the house, clean the house, work out, play a little video games. I'm not wired that way, y'all. I will for a period of time. Like I have my periods of reprieve where I just want to do nothing. But for the most part, that's typically driven when I get to the place of burnout because I wasn't doing what I actually really wanted to do. So in today's day and age, there's one key variable. I own my freedom. I choose whether I want to do something. If I happen to get home from an airport and realize I got a headache, I need time to relax and just think, I can cancel my meetings. That's the gift, y'all. You can do the same thing. Here's the other gift. Let's just say you're at a place and you're doing a job you love. What if income didn't matter? What would you actually be doing? Would you still stay in the same job you're staying in? Because for some of us, like me, the answer was yes for its season. Then eventually a new season sprung and I had to plant other seeds. But that's a conscious choice. That's true wealth. Relationships, your health. So I look at it and say, go F yourself, right? There's 4 F's I talk about. Family, fitness, friendships, freedom. Like if we look at our fitness, finances is the last F. That's to go F yourself. It's 4. So first one's family, your immediate family. Are you spending time with them? Are you curious about them? Are you wanting to show up? Are you present when you show up? Fitness. Remember, all this stuff is a spectrum too, depending on my definition of what good looks like doesn't have to look like what your definition looks like. I know plenty of people where it's like, hey, me and my wife make all decisions together. I know in other places where it's deferred accountability and the person's like, no, I don't need that type of stuff on me. You make the call. You define, you and whoever's in your family, what good looks like for you. Then in fitness, some of us don't have a desire to look like a swimsuit model because fitness comes in all shapes and sizes, y'all. Only thing I care about is being able to have strong legs where I can carry my own body weight, mobility. So if I fall down in my 80s, I can get back up, and upper body strength because I can push myself off the ground and go through it. That's my dynamic. Because in my 80s and 90s, I want to be able to move around. That's all I care about. Can I move well, as best as possible? Can I sit in a low squat position? Yeah, that's what I care about for health for me. So that's fitness. Let's go to friendships, y'all. I don't need tons of friends. I only need a couple people that when I'm in my stuff, I can call them and they can bounce things off of me and I can bounce things off of them. Because we're not meant to do this journey alone. Somebody who wants to celebrate for me because sometimes I don't know how to celebrate. It's the gift and the curse of being locked in of what you're doing and enjoying what you're doing every day. You don't get time to step back. But that's the reflection point of humanity. You get to see what's there. And then finance. Yeah, I love finance. I love it. Because accounting is about looking backward. Finance is about creative strategies going forward. That's why I love finance. I love learning about different ways to make money, grow money, protect money, different vehicles that are available, different mechanisms that people are using. All day, every day. Because then I'm the driver in the driver's seat, which is what a person like me is wired to want, to love, to do. And everything's a spectrum. So practical application, right? Like you go like, I made the conscious choice not to actually buy a piece of property because the math wasn't mathing. I was talking to another client and he was in a space where he's like, hey, now you understand what your buy box is. And now you're going to know when something does come across and it fits your parameters, you move. Now you can move quick. That's the goal. So start parking money away. Maybe you need more money to get that because you realize that type of asset you really don't like. So you go through and you go through and you go through. And you start building on it. It's like saving $1 a month for a quarter. Then double it after that quarter. Double it after that quarter. Double it after that quarter. Over the span of 10 years, you're going to have a large ass war chest of things to do because we don't control time. So what I'm trying to tell you, and the purpose of this episode, is to start with the end in mind. When you're clarifying your goals and your dreams and your desires, be specific to the point of exactly what you want. Because there's power in the word no. And that's it. No means you get to say more yeses. You can say yes to the family, yes to the friends, yes to the finances, yes to the fitness by saying no and declining invitations to certain events or certain points of distraction. Your life will become much clearer. You have a lot more fun and you get to be in the driver's seat, not letting life drive you wherever it wants to take you. So with that being said, as always, my friends, I like to get feedback from people. This episode and the next episode are all driven on discussions that I had with people who listened to a podcast and they had more questions. Because the whole purpose of this podcast is to be communicative. I want to share, I want to inform, I want to update, I want to have practical application because I'm pragmatic by nature. There's no point in me recording an episode if you can't take it and use it, y'all. And that's the gift of life. So, as always, my friends, stay hungry, stay humble, and stay grateful. Cheers, everybody.